Taking her to the king is the highest honor to our culture. This will be the way to prove to Lisa I respect her a lot, and I am committed to her.
Oh my God, this is a king. He looks like a king. He's wearing lion head and this headdress, and I feel like I'm gonna myself.
Why are you laughing? Did you see me laugh?
No, my king.
Lisa laughed in front of the king. And in that split second, Daniel's face dropped like someone had pulled the ground out from under him. The room went silent. You could feel the air tighten. Respect was no longer assumed, it was questioned. And when a king feels mocked, even by accident, everything shifts. But what happened next changed the entire story. Because while she stood there trying to pass off nervous giggles as innocence, there was a secret hanging in the background that Daniel did not know. Lisa was still legally married. Let that sink in. She is standing before a tribal king asking for a blessing, while still tied to another husband back home. This was not about tradition anymore. This was about power. Who holds it? Who loses it? Who is playing who? On the surface, it looks like a cultural misunderstanding, an American woman nervous in a foreign setting. But beneath that surface, there is leverage in every direction. The king holds cultural authority, Daniel holds immigration ambition, Lisa holds the visa pathway, and now she also holds a secret marriage. So the real tension is this. If the king sees her laughter as disrespect, does he pull the blessing? If Daniel feels the pressure, does he defend her out of love or out of strategy? Does Lisa even grasp the weight of standing in that room, or is she still treating this like a fairy tale moment? And here is the question nobody wants to say out loud. Is the green card the silent third person in this relationship? Because once Daniel learns she is still married, the power balance flips in a way nobody saw coming. And the next move will show who was truly in control all along. Before this royal disaster, there was already smoke in the air. Last episode gave us the social media mess. Remember the woman Daniel had been messaging, the one Lisa tracked down, the one who ended up blocking her. Lisa did not take that as a red flag. She flipped it. In her mind, the woman was jealous of her, jealous of their love, jealous that Daniel chose her. Now pause right there. When you feel threatened, your brain protects you. You rewrite the story so you do not feel rejected. That is human. If someone blocks you, one version hurts, another version empowers you. So Lisa picked the empowering version. She convinced herself she won. And if you have been watching closely, you saw the pattern. Anytime doubt creeps in, she reframes it. The blocked woman becomes bitter. The red flags become misunderstandings. Daniel becomes a prize she secured. You know how this works. When the facts feel uncomfortable, the mind edits them. And she needed that edit. Because she was about to meet a king. On the ride there, her imagination took over. She talked about a palace. Marble floors. A grand entrance. Towers rising into the sky. Something straight out of a theme park. You could hear the fairy tale building in her head. This was not just a meeting. This was a moment. A story she would tell forever. But here is the quiet tension building underneath. When your expectations are built on fantasy, reality has a sharp edge. Because the car slows down, the gate comes into view. And what stands in front of her is not a castle, not marble, not magic. And this is where fantasy collides with something far more real than she was prepared for. The car stops. No palace gates, no marble stairs, no towers touching the sky, just a modest home. Simple walls, quiet yard, the kind of place that does not scream fairy tale, but whispers tradition. You could see the confusion flicker across Lisa's face. This was not the fantasy she built in her head. And when fantasy collapses, people either adjust or they resist. She steps inside. The room is not grand, but it carries weight. There are attendants present, men standing with purpose, eyes steady, no one laughing, no one casual. The mood shifts from travel day nerves to something formal, structured. Hierarchy is visible without anyone announcing it. And then you see him, not as a costume, not as a joke, as authority, the headdress, the regalia, the posture. He does not need a castle to signal status. The energy in the room bends toward him. Everyone adjusts their body language without thinking. That is power. Not loud, not flashy, but understood. This is the part people miss when they reduce moments like this to outfits or props. The clothing is symbolic. The authority is social, generational, cultural, the kind built over time, not Instagram. Lisa kneels. This time she remembers. Progress. But nervous energy still leaks through her smile. Daniel stands nearby, alert, watching every move. And here is where the tension tightens. The king does not begin by addressing Daniel. Not first. He looks at Lisa. Now think about that. If this meeting is about marriage, about a union between families, why test her first? Why not question the man seeking approval? Is this cultural protocol? Or is this a deliberate display of dominance? A reminder that in this room, the king controls the narrative. The silence stretches. The attendants remain still. Daniel's jaw tightens. And then the king speaks. Are you sure you will take care of him? The question hangs in the air. Are you sure you will take care of him? Lisa answers yes. Then she laughs. Not a bold laugh, not mockery, a nervous giggle, the kind people do when pressure hits too fast. But in that room, timing matters more than intention. And the king's face changes. This is where context becomes everything. In many traditional settings, laughter at the wrong moment signals disrespect. It suggests you are not taking the word seriously. Whether she meant it or not stops mattering. Perception rules the room. Daniel feels it instantly. His posture stiffens. His eyes shift between Lisa and the king. He knows the weight of this space. She does not. Now the audience splits. Is she nervous? Is she dismissive? Or is she unaware of how deep this moment runs? Because to her, this may be anxiety leaking out. To the king, it may look like ridicule. And then the power dynamic becomes visible. The king calls it out. Why are you laughing? His tone is controlled, not loud. Controlled is stronger. Lisa tries to recover, says she is nervous, smiles again, and that smile lands wrong. This is where the puppet master energy surfaces. The king does not chase respect. He demands it. He questions her twice, makes her explain herself, makes the room watch. Daniel looks caught between loyalty and ambition. If the king feels insulted, the blessing disappears. And with it, Daniel's clean path forward. The king pauses, then instructs her to return to her seat. That small command shifts everything. Because the next decision he makes could protect Daniel's future or close the door on it completely. And what he decides next will reveal who truly holds the power in this relationship. When Lisa is sent back to her seat, Daniel is no longer a bystander. He is a man standing between two futures. On one side, tradition, a king he respects, a cultural structure that shaped him. On the other side, an American fiancé, a marriage that, in his own words, leads to a new life in the United States. And yes, people online keep whispering about the green card. I will say allegedly and in my opinion, because motives live inside people, not on camera. But the opportunity is there. No one denies that. So when the king questions Lisa's behavior, this is not only about manners. This is about Daniel's credibility. If she disrespects the king, it reflects on him, his judgment, his leadership, his choice. And now he has to speak. Does he defend her and risk looking weak in front of authority? Or does he stay silent and risk losing her trust? This is masculine pride colliding with ambition. Because if the king says no, Daniel faces a real dilemma. Does he still marry her without the blessing? Does he defy tradition for love or for opportunity? Watch his body language. He steps in carefully. He explains she is trying. He says she is learning. He frames her laughter as nerves, not disrespect. He does not challenge the king. He pleads. That distinction matters. In my opinion, this is not a reckless man. This is someone calculating consequences in real time. He knows one wrong move closes doors. And then something shifts. The king's expression softens. The tension in the room loosens a fraction. The authority remains, but the anger cools. Daniel exhales, though he does not show it fully, because the blessing is not lost yet. And that changes the stakes all over again. The king calls her forward again. The room holds its breath. For a second, it feels like Judgment Day. Then he says something unexpected. If you are nervous, laugh with me. And that is where the tone flips. He laughs first. A loud, deliberate laugh, not spontaneous, directed. He tells her to laugh, right now, with him. Lisa laughs, this time not out of nerves, out of instruction. You can feel the relief, the tension cracks, people in the room smile, Daniel's shoulders drop a little, crisis avoided. But look closer. This was not random joy. This was controlled humiliation turned into approval. The king sets the rule. You laugh when I laugh, you stop when I stop. It sounds simple, but it is a public reminder of hierarchy. He controls the tempo. She follows. And to be fair, that dynamic exists in many traditional structures. Authority establishes order, respect flows downward. But in a reality TV setting, the optics become part of the story. Viewers at home are half relieved, half uncomfortable. Because what we just saw was power performed in real time. Then the words come. The ancestors accept her. The union receives a blessing. He prays for fruitfulness, for harmony, for a happy home. Daniel steps closer. The tension that threatened to derail everything dissolves into ceremony. On the surface, this looks like a happy ending. Approval granted, tradition honored, conflict resolved. But pause. Remember the secret hanging over this entire moment. She is still legally married. And that blessing, as sacred as it sounded, just landed on a foundation that is not clean. So the real question is, what happens when that hidden truth steps into the light? Just when the room settles and the blessing feels official, the truth slips out. Lisa admits she is still legally married, not divorced, not finalized, married. And Daniel does not know. Now rewind the entire scene in your head. The kneeling, the laughter, the king's warning, the blessing, the prayers for unity. All of it happened while one legal detail sat quietly in the background, ticking like a clock. This changes everything. Because a marriage blessing assumes two single people entering a union. If she is still tied to someone else, then what exactly did the king approve? A promise, a plan, or a situation built on incomplete information. And this is where the dynamic flips. Up until now, many viewers question Daniel's motives, the green card whispers, the ambition, the future in America. Allegedly, in some opinions, he had more to gain. But now Lisa holds a hidden card. She is asking for commitment while withholding a truth that could block the entire process. So who is using who? Is Daniel chasing opportunity? Is Lisa securing affection? Or are they both negotiating a transaction disguised as romance? Emotionally, this is a sharp reversal. Sympathy shifts. Doubt spreads. Because keeping a legal marriage secret is not a minor oversight. It carries consequences. Immigration consequences, cultural consequences, personal consequences. And Daniel is still standing there believing the path forward is clear. The biggest open loop of all sits right here. What happens when he finds out? Does he feel betrayed? Does he forgive? Does he calculate? Because once that truth surfaces, the power balance tilts in a direction nobody expected. And that is where this story leaves us, in a moral gray zone where love, ambition, pride, and paperwork are all tangled together. Once this episode aired, social media lit up fast. Fans split into camps within minutes. One side focused on the laughter. They said it showed a lack of cultural awareness. They argued that when you enter someone else's tradition, you carry the responsibility to learn the rules. Respect is not optional. It is expected. Another group pushed back. They saw anxiety, not arrogance. They said nerves hit people in strange ways. Not everyone handles pressure with calm silence. Some people laugh when they panic. That does not make them malicious. Then the green card debate returned, louder than before. Viewers questioned Daniel's long-term goals. They pointed to his desire for life in America. In my opinion, ambition is not a crime. But when romance overlaps with immigration benefits, suspicion follows. That is reality. And now add the secret marriage on top of that. Online conversations shifted again. Suddenly, people asked whether Lisa held more power than anyone assumed. If she is still legally married, does that stall everything? Does that expose deeper cracks? The cultural respect debate kept growing too. Some viewers defended the king's authority, others felt the public correction was intense. But almost everyone agreed on one thing. That moment was uncomfortable to watch. So let me ask you something. If you were in Lisa's position, would nerves excuse the laugh? If you were Daniel, would you defend her or step back? And if you discovered your partner kept a legal marriage from you, would love outweigh trust? Because the tension is not over. The blessing happened. The secret exists. And Daniel still does not know. And the second he does, this entire dynamic explodes into a new level of drama. Strip away the crowns and the cameras, and this story becomes something familiar. Two people from different backgrounds trying to build a future, carrying different expectations into the same room. Cross-cultural relationships demand more than chemistry. They demand awareness, curiosity, humility. When Lisa laughed, the room reacted because laughter means different things in different spaces. In some places, it breaks tension. In others, it signals disrespect. Neither side is evil, but misunderstanding has consequences. And then there is power. Every relationship has it. Sometimes one partner holds financial leverage. Sometimes immigration status becomes leverage. Sometimes cultural approval becomes leverage. The problem starts when power is hidden instead of discussed. Daniel needed the king's blessing for honor. Lisa held access to a new country. The king held authority over tradition. None of them stood in that room empty-handed. Fantasy complicates it further. When you build love on a fairy tale image, reality feels like betrayal. The modest house did not match Lisa's imagination. The rules did not match her comfort zone. The blessing did not match the secret she was carrying. And we are back to that laugh. One small reaction that exposed how fragile the balance was. One moment that revealed how much each person stood to lose. Because love across cultures is not impossible. But it demands honesty first. And right now, honesty is the one thing missing from this union. The blessing was spoken. The laughter was corrected. The ceremony ended on a hopeful note. On paper, everything moved forward. But one truth still sits in the shadows. Daniel believes he just secured cultural approval for his future marriage. He stood in front of his king, defended his partner, and walked away with a blessing. In his mind, the path looks clear. What he does not know is that the woman he defended is still legally tied to someone else. So what happens when that truth lands? Does he feel betrayed after risking his standing for her? Does the king's blessing lose weight once the full story comes out? And if the marriage is not legally possible yet, what does that say about the promises made in that room? This is where the real test begins. Not in front of a throne, not under tradition, but in private, when honesty meets ambition. Because once Daniel learns the truth, his reaction will tell us everything about his priorities. Love, pride, opportunity. And in the next episode, when that secret finally surfaces, the fallout is not quiet. The legal complications alone shift the entire conversation. And that is where the power dynamic flips in a way no one is ready for.